Hey everyone, it's Monday Night Spark. Tonight we're talking how to fuel for a long run. So, have you ever felt drained during that half marathon, like right about at the 10 mile? Or have you felt drained during the full marathon around the 20-mile mark? If you've ever felt drained during this time period, tonight I'm very excited to bring on our first special guest for our Healthy Runner group. That is Kelley Breyer. Hopefully I
Breyer.
said Breyer. There we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully I said it correctly. And I know it is half marathon time, full marathon time. So whether or not you're training for Hartford, whether or not you're training for New York City, whether Marine Corps, whatever long run you have planned on your race calendar this fall, we're bringing you some content tonight to kind of talk all things nutrition related. Some of the things we're going to be covering tonight are what is considered proper nutrition for you as a runner, how to fuel before your runs, what should we be eating, drinking during our runs, and then how do we actually refuel our bodies so we can continue to train and run throughout our training programs. So the only thing that Kelley and I ask for you tonight is we wanted to kind of take a little deep dive into this topic tonight. So we want you to ask your questions. Kelley is here as a licensed dietitian, and she is going to be answering any questions that you have relating to your nutrition, hydration. So we just want you to engage. We don't want to just kind of lecture at you. So we would like for you, the only thing we ask is that you engage with the things that we're going to talk about today. So if you are here on the live, just type in live into the comment box so I know you're here. And if you're watching this on the replay and you weren't able to catch us on the live, just type in replay and we'll be able to give you a little shout out there. So without further ado, Kelley, if you don't mind, just giving us a little brief introduction on your background as it pertains to nutrition and running.
Sure. Um, well, I'm a runner and a dietitian. I have been working in the clinical setting for about 10 years, getting old. And almost a year ago, me and my best friend, Frankie, we started our company. Then it was K&F Nutrition. Now it's Long Run Nutrition. Basically because we realized there's a lot of information out in the media and people are confused. So we wanted to help active adults fuel their bodies and live an active and healthy life. Me in particular, I really like working with runners because I'm obsessed with running. I am obsessed with food, and it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, who's not obsessed with food, right? I know, that's like our
Some
excuse,
people.
right? As
Yeah.
runners, is we get to, at least we feel like we can, eat a little bit more or cheat and not eat as clean, perhaps. I
Yeah.
think that's
Fuel the
what,
fire.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks, guys, for jumping on here on the live. I'm unable to see everyone who has jumped on, but Jay, thanks for jumping on here. Brian, I did see you. So thank you guys for jumping on. So the first thing, Kelley, really that I think there are a lot of kind of myths out there, right, on social media, and you can see a lot of content being thrown at people, whether it's commercials, TV, social media. But in your mind, what do you kind of consider, or what goes into proper nutrition specifically for a runner?
So if you look at your body kind of like a car, what you put into it is like the gas that you put in a car. So if you want your car to last and you want it to drive far and drive fast, you want to put in good gas. You don't want to put in like corn oil. You want to put in the best fuel. So the best fuel would be carbohydrates, most important, followed by protein and fat. It's super boring. There's nothing special about it, but those three are the most important things that you can put in your body. So to talk a little bit more about what those three things are, carbohydrate is, bread, pasta, rice, fruit, potatoes. That's going to help give your muscles the energy to be able to run longer and run faster. Your brain also runs entirely on glucose. Protein, which is found in meat, fish, eggs and dairy that's going to help repair your muscles and help you to, perform better again. And lastly is fat. That is important to help keep you feel full. It's going to help your hormones, and it's going to help your food taste good. So that would be, avocados, nuts, seeds, egg yolks, full fat dairy, that sort of thing. I like to tell my clients to make sure each meal and snack that they have contains all three of those things. That's going to help you feel full and satisfied and help give you energy to be able to perform at your best.
No, that makes sense. So you're really looking at almost like a well-balanced, essentially, meal. And every time you eat, you should be kind of having that balance within your kind of eating and your nutrition. I think that, I can say the same for, whether as we're looking at exercises, right? So like as a runner, having that balance between like stretching, strengthening, stabilization. And I think we could even say the same thing with training, right? So having that balance in every single run, if you think about it, us as runners, we don't go out there and go 110% every single run, right? And having some of those easy runs throughout the week, you get your speed work or your hill work, whatever you're kind of doing, as well as those long runs, and having kind of that balance in your training program. But I think kind of you're talking about having balance within our, with what we're eating, essentially.
Yeah. And it's all important. So the trainings that you do for your runs are important. Your mobility, your strength training, and your nutrition. Everything is important to help you become a well-rounded runner.
Nice, nice. Thank you guys for jumping on here on the live. Everyone's coming on strong. So Kelley is a big draw here. So Jeff, thanks for jumping on. Terry, thanks for jumping on. Lewis is here. Monique's here on the live. I think she just ran Surftown. Last weekend, we had a bunch of runners. Congrats, everyone. I saw a couple of people PR'd last weekend, which was awesome. So congrats to you. So now, what do we do, especially, I guess, either for a long run or before a race? Like, what should we be eating or drinking before our long runs or races?
So I'm going to define a long run as anything longer than 90 minutes. So that might mean something different for everybody. That might mean 5 miles. That might mean 12 miles. So anything longer than 90 minutes. And the reason for that is your glycogen stores, which is the carbohydrate that's stored in your muscle, that's going to start to run out. So you want to make sure that you're getting something in before your run so that you're topping off those stores. So what should you be eating? Carbohydrates. That was going to be the main part of your diet before your run. Depending on how far in advance you're able to eat will depend on how much you're going to eat and what you're going to eat. I will tell you that the recommendations are about 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight per hour before your run. That's kind of confusing. So what that might mean is if you're 55 kilograms, you would eat 55 grams of carbohydrate 1 hour before, 110 grams of carbohydrate 2 hours before, 165 grams of carbohydrate 3 hours before. But that's a recommendation, and that's a lot of food. So I would tell you to kind of figure out what works for you. I can tell you what I do. I will have, lately I've been having a glass of orange juice before my run at 4:30 in the morning. But if I have a little more time, I'll add like a half a bagel onto that. You might want to have some oatmeal or peanut butter toast. A lot of people will like that too. The important thing is to get some carbohydrates in there to help get to your muscles real fast. Things that you might want to avoid, fat, because it's not going to sit well in your stomach. You might have some GI issues when you're running. So you could have like some peanut butter or like an egg, that'd be okay, but you don't want to have like French fries or a cheeseburger. And then fiber. So you don't want to be having like a bean burrito before you run or a large salad for obvious reasons. And this is just to minimize any GI issues. So mainly just simple carbohydrates that you can tolerate for yourself.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point. If anyone has been there before, just type in "been there" in the comment box. If you like had a high fatty like diet, you went out to like a restaurant the night before and you got up really early and did a long run. Um, yeah, that doesn't feel great. I know I
No.
definitely been there. If you guys have been there, just type in "been there" in the comment
Or a
box.
couple drinks.
Yes, yes.
Never good.
And definitely, like, I think you bring up a good point with the fatty foods. And I know for myself, I just get like reflux if I have that, types of foods and then start to run, everything just kind of churns up and I'm just like getting reflux the whole time I'm running, which then affects my breathing. And then it's really affecting my performance. So Brian likes your point about the 90-minute mark, about time and not so much miles. And I think that was a great point. And I don't think a lot of people recognize that, and they might not consider it a long run because they are running 5 miles, let's say, or they're running 4 miles. But it is that length of time essentially that you're exercising, right? That your heart rate is elevated and you're steaming up your metabolism. So you're actually, burning the fuel like you kind of talked about before within your body. So very good point there. All right. So the moral story from what I got out of that is that definitely more carbs beforehand, right? Not too much fat, and some blending of carbs between like fast, simple kind of sugars, like you had mentioned the orange juice, versus like a slower carb, like with oatmeal or, brown rice or pasta. Like I know a lot of people have that. Would that be that slower kind of absorbing carb? Like complex carb?
Yeah. So what I would say, yeah, complex carb. What I would say is if you are going out for a run, like within 30 to 60 minutes, I would do more simple carb. So something that's really easy to digest and something that's going to go right to your muscles. So that might be fruit or juice or like a goo. If you have a couple more hours, then I would do a slower digesting carb. So oatmeal or like a whole wheat toast, that sort of thing, because it's going to take a little bit longer for your body to break it down.
Right. So I've been, I've read and I've been kind of implementing like with my halves or, with the full, like you definitely want to have that meal right before, like a good 2 to 3 hours before your race, have that kind of smaller meal with the complex carbs with a little bit of protein in there, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. A little bit of protein to help, actually twofold. So the protein will help you to stay full. It'll help your blood sugar from spiking too much, and it'll also help your muscles to bring in the carbohydrate. So without getting too scientific, the protein will stimulate an insulin response, which will bring in some carbohydrate into your muscles.
Nice. So it's like it shuttles it to the muscles. All right. So Monique says that she would definitely say the 2-hour mark, her glycogen stores fade. She normally run faster, but carry goo chews for that timeline along with hydration. So Monique, thank you very much for the segue. So that kind of brings us to our second point, is what should we do during our race or during that long run in terms of nutrition and hydration? What do you think?
So I'll start with nutrition. Anything longer than 90 minutes, you want to have between 30 and 90 grams of carbohydrate per hour. That's a wide range. So I would say for like a half marathon, I would go closer to the 30 grams of carbohydrate. And for a marathon, go closer to the 90, but that would also probably be like a larger person, like a male might want the 90 grams of carbohydrate. So 30 grams of carbohydrate might look like one goo is about 25 grams, or a large banana, a couple of dates, or like a Larabar. Those things might add up to 30 grams of carb. You don't have to eat it all at once. Just, every 15 minutes or so, just take in a little bit so that spread out over the hour, you get those carbs. Again, you want to minimize fat, fiber. You don't really need any protein. So just simple carbohydrates that will go straight into your muscle, straight into your bloodstream is all you need. For fluid, So this is also a wide range as well. Everything's going to be really individualized. Everybody needs something a little different. You want about 20 to 35 ounces of water per hour. If you're not sure how much you need, you can do something called a sweat test, which is basically when you weigh yourself before and after your run and you kind of see how much weight you lose. Every pound of weight that you lose, you need about 24 ounces of fluid to replace that. You don't want to lose more than 2% of your body weight. Again, some people sweat more than others. Some people don't need as much water. And then that brings me to electrolytes. So some people sweat a lot, and we're kind of leaving the summer running season, but electrolytes are important because when you sweat, you're releasing a lot of sodium, a lot of potassium, and that can cause muscle cramping, fatigue, stomach cramping. So you might want to add like some Gatorade or a Noon tablet or pickles, which we know I love.
The pickles, yeah, I definitely implemented that this summer. That was a helpful tip that you had posted in the group. Yeah, I love that. That was like my post run, my long run nutrition there to add some of those pickles. Nice. All right. So, okay, I think we probably covered. Those of you that are just jumping on here now, thanks for jumping on here on the live. If you have a question for Kelley, she is a licensed dietitian, nutritionist. We're talking about what you should do and fuel for your long runs. And if you have any specific questions, just drop them into the comment box and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions as they come in. So now kind of getting to that point of afterwards. So now you finished your long run. How important is it to eat right after your long runs?
So it's important. Your blood flow are still really high about 45 minutes after your run. So it's important to get something in to help replenish everything that was lost in your muscles. The reason for this is because if you don't, you might constantly be playing catch up. You might, like later on in the day, realize that you're starving and that you just cannot fill up. And this can happen because you didn't fuel yourself properly afterwards. You don't have to have a huge meal. You don't have to have like a fancy protein shake, just something mostly carbohydrate with a little bit of protein. You want generally like a 4-to-1 ratio. So that might mean like chocolate milk or a smoothie. I've been liking just like a simple yogurt because it's like cool and easy to eat and it's just super quick. This is going to help, like I said, it's going to help replace glucose that you lost in your muscles. It's going to help repair some of the muscle breakdown. And then a couple hours later, you can have your real meal once you're feeling hungry.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelley. So I know it appears that we're having a little connection issues and you kind of froze up a little bit. So I'm not sure if everyone actually heard what Kelley said. I know I was able to hear, so I'm going to actually reiterate what Kelley said. And she was talking about having like a small meal, a little bit simpler, kind of that fast acting carb right after. She had mentioned some yogurt with some protein, and then usually waiting a little bit to have more of that complex carb to kind of replenish some of those glycogen stores that you really kind of depleted during that long run or during that race. So I'm not sure if that like froze up on everyone. So Ann says chocolate milk. She's a big chocolate milk fan. So I think that kind of covered what we should be having afterwards. And in terms of electrolytes, do you recommend like pre, during, and after if it was, let's say it was more humid, right? So we know that yes, summer's over, but knowing our luck here in the Northeast, especially, that we will get one of these weekends that we're going to get some humidity. I remember last year, the vineyard half that I did, that was like ridiculously humid that day. And it just like hits you. So what do you think about electrolytes? Should we do all three before, during, after, or is there a recommended amount of electrolytes?
Well, again, so it's going to depend on the person. Some people are saltier sweaters. You might know that if you have like a white ring around your hat or your clothes. So drinking electrolytes before and during and after all of the above, it's not going to hurt. It might not be 100% necessary, but it's going to be dependent on the person. If you know it's going to be hot, for sure, I would probably recommend, just drinking electrolytes the whole day prior to your race, and then just having it in your water bottle, or if you know that it's going to be on the course and you've tested it before, then drink it on the course.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense as far as like the sweat test too that you were talking about before. So Brian wants to know, what are your thoughts on caffeine before as well as during long runs, and kind of puts a question mark there on personal experimentation. Do we just kind of go with what you've tried before, or do you have any thoughts regarding caffeine?
You broke up, so all I heard was caffeine. Are you saying, does it help?
Yeah, so what are your thoughts as far as if we should have caffeine before or during our runs, and any recommendations with caffeine?
Sure. So in general, if you're like a caffeine drinker and you drink coffee every day, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to help you at all because you're already used to it. You already built up a tolerance. So actually, a lot of professionals will cut out caffeine for a couple weeks before their race, and then they'll drink it, or they'll have some sort of caffeine to kind of give them a quick start. But that seems like a horrible 2 weeks. So yeah, use it if you like it, but if you're not, if you've already been drinking a lot of coffee or a lot of caffeine, it's not going to really help you.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I apologize, guys. I know we are freezing up a little bit, so I'm not sure if that's just our connection right now. So I apologize for that. But before we freeze up anymore, Kelley, if first off, thank you so much for kind of dedicating your time tonight away from your family and sharing some of your knowledge with us. So if we were someone who maybe wanted to talk to you about some individual circumstances that we have, or wanted to know a little bit more how we can contact you or ask you for some more nutritional advice, how could we reach you?
Mm-hmm. A few different ways. I'm always available in the Facebook group. You can look at our Facebook page, Long Run Nutrition. We have an Instagram, Long Run Nutrition. Our website, longrunnutritionrd.com. We have office space at Multisports Academy, which we see in-person people. That's in Hamden, Connecticut. We also do virtual counseling as well. Yeah.
Sorry, just giving a shout out to Multisports Academy and Dawn and Clay Tebbets. Awesome gym owners there, and have supported Kelley, Frankie, and I in seeing clients out of their gym. So definitely a nice supportive family atmosphere, and really have kind of similar mindsets to Kelley and myself. So I just want to give them a shout out. All right, so guys, I really want to thank you. I apologize for the connection errors. I didn't really think it'd go 100% smooth the first go around. So if any of this stuff that we talked about tonight was valuable for you, if you don't mind tagging one of your runner friends in the comment box. And I'm looking to have on free, more free educational topics as we go on throughout this fall here on the Monday Night Spark Lives. So if you do have a topic of interest that you want to know more about, just drop it into the comment box right now, and we'll create some content, and I'll find some experts to talk to you about those areas if it is beyond my realm. And if you found this talk with Kelley helpful at all, just please hit that like, hit the love button, because it will help this show up in more of your friends' news feeds who are runners and can benefit from this information. So I just want to say thank you guys again. Thank you, Brian. Brian says, good job. Thanks, Brian. He's the expert interviewer. So I appreciate that, Brian. I know we had a little difficulties here, but thank you. And Jeff says, thank you, Kelley and Dwayne. Great info. So I'm glad it was helpful for you, Jeff. And I training for New York City. So hopefully some of this will be helpful to you. And Janet's on. Janet's always supportive. Glad you got to jump on here, Janet. And so hopefully you took some golden nuggets away from today's talk. And I look forward to bringing some more educational content to you. Thank you again, Kelley. And anything else you have to say, Kelley, before we head out?
No, I don't think so. Just let me know if you guys have any questions.
Right, so
I'd be happy to answer them.
All right. Thanks again, guys. And until next time, Monday Night Spark.